Hello, this is Silas. This is Uncivil War. I saw this on my Facebook feed, that feature that says on this day in the past you said this. So this is something I wrote back in April 16th in 2013. I'm going to read it and just give you my thoughts on it. Woke up and while reading the unfortunate news of the Boston Marathon explosions, I began thinking of how there are less uncivilized areas. Civilization has spread and civilians are everywhere. War can no longer be waged in a civil way by restricting it to battlefields, if it ever truly was possible. It may occur in less civilized areas, which in some cases is how leaders must paint the other side since they know the reality that when war is waged, either side will end up striking areas populated by civilians. Now, I thought of this in light of the current time with the dubious chemical attacks that occurred in Syria and the American response, as well as something with North Korea. With the threat of a preemptive strike to North Korea. This whole idea of civil wars or civilized way of fighting, they say, okay, terrorism, just having random bombings in populated areas, attacking civilians, is considered to be somehow more evil than your regular war. Now, I'm not going to say they're the same. There's definitely a difference with the randomness of that, with attacking people who are technically non-combatants. There definitely is a difference in that situation, but terrorism, terror, is part of war. When, okay, I'll get back to that on a later video, but let me focus on the Civil War situation. So, what is the difference between a civil war and a conventional war? So, if you take, for example, the American Civil War, I would say that it is civilians within one country taking different sides and fighting each other. And so there's a way where it's like that civil part, it's a war between civilians. Now, in this sense, when you're warring against another country, it's not really considered a civil war because it's an entire country against another country. And now I was thinking of another way to read that term civil war. What if it's in the term of civility, like the difference between uncivilized and civilized? Now, is there such a thing as a civilized war? Is guerrilla warfare part of civilized war, yet terrorism, in your standard case of the suicide bombers or the random attackings or the indiscriminate attacking of citizens, of civilians, in order to have some political ends? Because when you have a situation in an actual war, like when you get to a situation when, for example, Japan was being firebombed during World War II, was that terrorism? Now, if you say it's not, what's the difference here? Was that a civilized way of warring? Was that a civil war in the sense of civil versus uncivil behavior? Of a civil society versus an uncivil society, a civilized society versus an uncivilized society? Now, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's something that changes, something that you have to ask compared to what. Something that may be considered civilized in a certain time or place is not always applied universally. Like gladly, something like parenting, for example. There was a lot higher level of corporal punishment considered to be part of what a civilized society would do that does not apply to your day-to-day life today in the West. So I'm just going to throw that idea out there. What is actually a civil war? Oh, and also, it's another pertinent thing. There's two news stories that I've been loosely following. There was speeches given between in somewhere in Athens, somewhere in Texas and Berkeley, California, by I think Lauren Southern was the person I heard reporting from the Berkeley, California situation, and Mike Cernovich was reporting from the Texas one, and they were both on Stefan Molyneux's show. And I've also seen a lot of footage. There's that one particular footage of this Antifa, which is an anti-fascist group in America, who are actually the fascists, like behaving in fascist behavior. But they went out and she went out and she posted this photo on her social media and said, okay, she's going out and she's going to collect Nazi scalps or whatever. She went out, she jumped into this melee that was going on and got a punch to the face. So there's a lot of these stories going out. And some of my friends were concerned and saying, okay, is this the Civil War going up? And, I've been thinking, no, these are microaggressions. This is not really a war. But it could be. That's the thing. It's the West. It's a civilized country, quote unquote. even having that level of violence, even though it's not at the level that you might see in developing nations where people could be getting killed directly on the street, you don't see the similar thing to the older, more militaristic communist regimes where they would just quash all dissent, all social unrest. So could this be what the Civil War looks like? I was thinking, this is what democracy looks like. That chant that they have. Is this what Civil War looks like? Is this what Civil War in 2017 America looks like? It doesn't get to the point. I don't imagine it's going to get to the point of the last Civil War when it was between the North and the South, where you have people in the street, full militias and anything. I think the people on that side, the Antifa side, the regressive side, the social justice whiner side, they're a vast minority, that a very small minority, very loud, very active. But if they had any decent pushback, I think they would stop. Even this situation, you see, there was in most of these cases when you see these kind of interaction, there's a stand down by the police. Now, I will discuss on other posts and have before on why I think there's a stand down. It has something to do with the state and them benefiting in some ways of from this level of unrest, or if arrests are actually made and you actually focus on the actual issues, we'll see some of the roots maybe in some of the same people that are requiring to enforce. Okay, that's it for now. This is just more of a ramble, kind of just going back on that old thing about the Civil War I saw and thinking about it in light of a potential Civil War and the war of ideas that is definitely going on right now. I don't think Civil War is necessarily just meaning one is more about ideas versus one is more about physics, launching fists and other hard objects at people. I think you can have, I don't know what is a civil war. If you have an idea on what I was saying or try to make some sense or have any questions, please share them in the comment section. If not, yeah. Also like, subscribe, and share if you like this. Thanks. Bye.